Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov Chess Channel and welcome to the most spectacular game from the FIDE World Rapid Chess Championship in 2024. So the drama has peaked in this round because in this round we have the epic match between Magnus Carlsen and Hans Moke Niemann. Hans, we have to say, played so far an awesome, a brilliant tournament. Hans before this round 11 was on the second place. But Hans we have to also mention, had a little bit luck because his opponent from the round 10, Danil Dubov, didn't come to the match. I have some info. I'm not sure if that's a true info, but I have an info that Danil Dubov fell asleep, that he didn't arrive at his match because he took a nap in his room. Really crazy. So many crazy things happened already in this tournament. We know what the drama was between Magnus Carlsen and the FIDE because of the genes. Now Magnus has to face another drama because Magnus many times mentioned that he doesn't like to face Hans Moke and Niemann. They're of course enemies, and let's see now what happened in the round 11. Crazy game. Put your seatbelts on and enjoy in this dramatic game between these two top grandmasters. So with white, Magnus Carlsen opponent move e4, e5 by Hans, knight to f3, knight to c6, knight to c3, knight to f6, leads now into the 4 knights game. Magnus continues with the passive h3. And with this move, Magnus is basically allowing here Hans Moke Niemann to go in sort of a reverse Scotch game with the move d5. So Magnus is waiting. He's now waiting for black to make an aggressive move. Magnus takes, Hans takes, and now after bishop to b5, Magnus goes for the weakness on e5. Hans continues with the knight to c3. We have b takes c3, and now bishop to d6. Calcing, and now also rook to e1. And the issue is now the e5 pawn is a little bit weak, but Hans, I think, finds always now this most progressive ideas to defend. Is first of all rook to e8, perfectly fine, and then after move d4, bishop to d7, here rook to b1 by Magnus Carlsen. He's targeting now simply the b7 weakness. So Magnus could maybe continue like this, but bishop to c6 would actually be a mistake if we're asking ourselves maybe the question, can white maybe win the pawn on e5? Actually, it's not working because after bishop to c6 and knight to e5, the bishop to e5, d takes e5, queen takes d1, rook takes d1, and rook to e5 lead now into this position where black will get the pawn back, and black has a healthier structure. Probably this game would end with a draw because of opposite color bishops, but of course black should be slightly better because of this powerful piece. The rook is very active. This rook will be included into the game. As I said, pawn structure here on the queen side is healthier, so black doesn't have to worry anything about this game. So after bishop to d7, rook to b1 by Carlsen. Good move, not targeting here the e5 pawn. We have now a6 by Hans, bishop to d3, and now Hans releases the pressure after e takes d4. Rook to e8 by Magnus, queen takes e8, and now Magnus goes aggressively into the game with the move knight to g5, which seems tempting, but actually it's not really such a big deal. And here from this point on, I would say black is taking over. Black has a slight edge because after knight to g5, what should black do? Hans plays the calm h6, why not? Magnus retreats, but now queen to e5, and with this move Hans is now keeping his extra pawn that Magnus Carlsen refused to take, and now from this point on, black is continuing the game with an extra pawn. The issue here is that you see now after knight to d6, queen takes d6, and c takes d4, and knight to d4, is that actually white cannot get the pawn back on b7, and that's exactly what Magnus did now in this particular game. He took now the pawn on b7, but it's not working because here Hans had an immediate chance to play knight to b5 and lock now here the rook out of the game. So I'm not sure if Magnus has calculated something, because probably he made a mistake here. Knight to b5 would simply, as I said, neutralize the rook out of the game, and now you can maybe just, I don't know, play something like rook to b5 here to get the rook into the game, or maybe you can try to be aggressive with bishop to b2. You're trying maybe to deliver somehow checkmate with the queen and bishop's activity. But then look at this, bishop to c6. If you pick up, for instance, the rook, the piece here with the rook on b5, then bishop to b5 leads now to this line. Even if you go, I don't know, with rook to c7, seems aggressive, seems that maybe the queen could come into the game and now you could deliver checkmate, but black can defend this very easily. I would say king to f8, and now the only threats that I see here are moves like bishop to c4 here and rook to e8. You can deliver some checks, but once the king is escaping towards the queen side, Black is completely winning here. So Hans had the opportunity to win the game immediately in move 18 with knight to b5, but unfortunately for Hans, he made now a huge blunder with bishop to c6, like Magnus. Of course, both players now made a huge mistake in the move 18, and from this point on, again, Magnus has good chances in the game because Hans missed his tactic. Now rook to b1 here by Magnus. Magnus notices his problems now in the game, and I would now love to play more this game with the white pieces because it's an open battle. The bishops are very well placed here. The bishop is of course targeting the h6 weakness. The queen will eventually be included into the game, so I would say although the engine gives you 0.0 chances for both sides, I think in a human level, always I would love is always to play this position more with white. So yeah, for rook to b1, rook to e8 by Hans, bishop to e3, and now Hans makes another mistake, knight to b5. This is not good because now the knight is simply too far away from the action. The knight is supposed to somehow help here Black's king side. A better choice was to maybe keep the queen here centralized and keep also the knight centralized. Now for queen to d5, at least you are threatening the checkmate on g2, and then you force a reaction. With this move, Magnus would have to also be careful, and then you play a calm knight to f5, and maybe when the queens are off the board, it's easier to play the game. You also attack the piece on e3. So this was the way to go for Hans. But after bishop to e3, he tried knight to b5, and now suddenly Magnus is rolling here. Look at this beautiful bishop pair. Queen is very active. Rook is on a good file. Couldn't be included into the game, of course. And here Hans plays bishop to d7. He tries to bring a new defender into the game. Queen to b4 by Magnus. Queen to f6. Again, not a good move here by Hans because, again, he should at least try to centralize the queen, not allowing moves like bishop to e4 to happen, and then still maybe try this idea with bishop to c6, at least force a passive bishop to f1 here by Magnus. But queen to f6 is just too defensive. Here Magnus continues with an aggressive a4. Why not? Good move. And now knight to d6. And now Magnus has great chances. He can pick up this pawn. He can go also for this pawn. He can also improve, of course, a little bit the position of the rook. Many pieces are good here for white. Rook to e1 in some lines is even working. Many opportunities, but just now only for Magnus Carlsen. Hans Moke Niemann missed his chance in the game. Queen to a5, that was Magnus' choice, going for this pawn and also for the pawn on c7. Knight to f5 by Hans, bishop, queen takes c7, and now bishop to a4. Hans takes also now here a pawn, but again, the issue for Black is here that white suddenly also in this tactical sequence created the pass pawn, which is now supported by the bishop pair, which is supported by the queen. Maybe the rook can also help out, and slowly but surely in a potential fully endgame stage, white should be winning if the game becomes, I think, a little bit less tactical, because white has to still worry about the king. The king is a little bit endangered. Maybe this bishop can come in again into the game. Maybe the knight can be included in the game. But in a fully calm game, I would say with the bishop pair, white should have a huge advantage. Bishop to c5. Here we have knight to h4 by Hans. Not a good move. Again, he should try to simplify the game somehow by trading off the pieces, at least trying to get rid of the bishop pair, and then in a line bishop c4, then you play bishop to c6. If queen to f4 happens, then you fix your knight on f5 with the move g6, and again, slight edge for white. Again, more pleasant to play it with the white pieces, but at least you're defending the position somehow. But after knight to h4, what Magnus should have done is to play aggressive rook to b4, and that was now Magnus Carlsen maybe even last chance to somehow squeeze a win out of this position. Rook to b4 is a very nice move because it attacks now both of these pieces on the 4th rank, and now maybe you can, I don't know, deliver a check, but then after king to h2, bishop to e8, Hans would have then to retreat with the bishop. Then you could play bishop to e3, suddenly the rook is locked, and now in potential, I don't know, knight to f3, you pick up the piece. Here you play some, maybe king to g3, just going for the piece. It's very hard to defend now this position for Black. You maybe try, I don't know, even ideas like rook to e3, f takes e3, but once this bishop gets pinned on the 8th rank, I think the position is collapsing here for Hans. Even if you try, instead of knight to f3, to maybe be aggressive here. Maybe you can try knight to g6, but then again, rook to b8. That's the move that I think bothers now black in this potential sequence. That unfortunately, believe me or not, Magnus Carlsen did not play. Instead of rook to b4, he tried rook to b8 immediately, and this allows here Hans Niemann to regroup, to keep these pieces compact, glued together, and now another mistake here by Magnus Carlsen. King to h2 is not so good. Bishop to b4 should have been played somehow, trying to keep the tension. After something like queen to d5, you go with the queen here, and again, you're trying maybe to do something with the bishop pair. But king to h2 is too passive, because now Hans has this opportunity. Bishop to c6, good move by Hans. He's targeting now also the g2 weakness in Magnus Carlsen's position. And now again, Magnus can maybe try bishop to d6, then after something like rook to b8, queen takes b8, queen to e8, then queen takes e8. What Magnus should have gone for is a potential fully endgame stage where he's kept, of course, with this pass around the c file, and in this potential endgame, again, I would say white is much better. But instead of bishop to d6, Magnus right now queen to g3, and suddenly it's again a drawish position after knight to g2, bishop to d4 by Magnus trying to deliver checkmate. G5, good move by Hans, and after rook to e8, queen takes e8, here the game ended with a draw. Although I have to mention, this is probably not the finished position. When I watched the live stream, Magnus Carlsen and Hans Moke Niemann continued to play after this position. But the issue for me here is that I couldn't have the whole PGN. The analysis on Lichess and also on chess.com was only until this move. Magnus and Hans Moke Niemann played an aggressive still game. Afterwards, Magnus basically tried to squeeze a win out of this position, but the game ended with a draw, which also, when it comes to computer evaluation, the engine says here this is a perfectly drawish position. I would say a fair draw, because Hans had in the beginning a winning chance, then Magnus Carlsen had a winning chance, and then afterwards the game went into this position where I think it's a fair draw. But with this draw, it becomes really complicated for Magnus Carlsen. Look at this. This is now the current standing of after 11 out of the 13 rounds that we'll see. Fabi is still on the first place. Fabi has the best additional criteria. Jan Nepomniachtchi won now in the round 11 his last game against Caruana. But look at this. We have now 5 players with 8.5 points. Fabi is here. Alireza Firuza is here. Jan Nepomniachtchi. Hans Moke Niemann is also there. And Volodar Murzin, the FIDE World Rapid Champion, is also now in the top 8. So as I mentioned in the beginning, in our first game that we have analyzed today, the most important thing here is to finish on the 8th place, and then you reach the quarterfinal stage, so you reach the playoffs. And Magnus Carlsen, look at this, he's on the 7th place with a good score. Magnus didn't lose any games so far, but if something dramatically changes, Magnus could be even kicked away out of this quarterfinals if he finished maybe on the 9th place. We'll see what happened. Probably Magnus was not satisfied with the outcome against Hans Moke Niemann in this game, but I think Hans played very decent game and had now a deserved win against Magnus Carlsen. Although, as I said, the tensions were high, but then actually the game ended with a beautiful result for both of them. So, okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Interesting ideas here by these two top grandmasters. If you want to see some other games that we have analyzed from this Blitz section, please check out also our coverage of one beautiful gameplay by Magnus from the round 4. And if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.